Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. The salvage ship Odyssey drifted through the silent void, its engines humming as it scanned the debris field near Jupiter. Marcus Reed, the ship's captain, sat in his chair, staring at the radar screen. The team had spent weeks searching for valuable scraps, old satellites, lost cargo, anything that could be sold for profit, but today something different appeared on the scanners. "Captain, you seeing this?" Jonas, the ship's engineer, called out. Marcus leaned forward. A small metallic object was floating nearby, spinning slowly. It wasn't wreckage, it was an escape pod. "That's not human tech," Alina, the ship's pilot, muttered. Marcus frowned. An alien escape pod in human-controlled space, that was rare. Usually, aliens stayed away from the inner solar system. "Hook it up. Let's bring it inside," Marcus ordered. Jonas and Dale, the crew's mechanic, activated the ship's retrieval arm. The pod was carefully pulled into the cargo bay, where the team gathered around it. Its surface was smooth, silver, and marked with strange symbols. "Looks old," Dale said, running a gloved hand over it. "But still working," Helena tapped on her wrist scanner. "I'm picking up life signs inside. Weak but alive." Marcus took a deep breath. "Let's open it." With a hiss, the pod's hatch slid open. Inside, curled up like a sleeping child, was a girl. She had pale blue skin, silver-white hair, and faintly glowing eyes. She wore a thin, shimmering suit that seemed more advanced than anything humans had ever built. Jonas stepped back. An alien. A real one. The girl stirred, her eyes fluttering open. She looked at them with confusion and fear. Then, too weak to stay awake, she collapsed again. "We need to get her to the med bay," Marcus said. Dale hesitated. "We sure that's a good idea? What if she's dangerous?" "She's barely breathing," Marcus replied. "Right now, she needs help." They carried the girl to the small med bay, where Jonas scanned her with the ship's medical equipment. "She's malnourished, dehydrated, and exhausted, but she'll live," Marcus exhaled. "Good. Let's give her time to wake up." Hours later, the ship remained quiet as the alien girl slept. Marcus sat in the control room, watching the stars outside. He had seen a lot of strange things in space, but this was different, an alien child alone in an escape pod. What had happened to her? His thoughts were interrupted when Elena's voice came through the intercom. "She's awake." Marcus hurried to the med bay. The girl sat up, looking around with wide eyes. She flinched when Marcus entered but didn't move away. "Hey," he said gently. "You're safe. You're on a human ship." The girl didn't respond. She tilted her head as if trying to understand. Jonas handed Marcus a tablet. "Tried scanning her language, but it's not in our database. We'll have to communicate the old-fashioned way." Marcus knelt down and pointed to himself. "Marcus," he tapped his chest. "My name." The girl hesitated, then placed a hand on her own chest. "Vela," her voice was soft, uncertain. "Vela," Marcus repeated with a nod. "Nice to meet you." She blinked at him, then looked around the room again. She seemed lost, afraid, but also curious. Alina stepped forward with a tray of food, protein bars, water, and a few dried fruits. She placed it beside Vela and gestured for her to eat. Vela studied the food for a moment before carefully picking up a fruit. She sniffed it, then took a small bite. Her eyes widened slightly in surprise, and she took another. "Guess she likes it," Jonas chuckled. They watched as Vela slowly finished the meal. Then her expression changed. She looked uncomfortable, shifting slightly in her seat. She glanced at them, then at the door, as if she wanted privacy. Marcus caught on and cleared his throat. "Let's give her some space." The crew left the room, letting Vela rest. The shocking discovery. A few hours later, Jonas was checking the ship's waste filtration system when he saw something strange among the usual processed materials. Something glittered under the dim light. Marcus?" Jonas called out. Marcus walked over and frowned. "What is it?" Jonas carefully picked up the object and held it up. It was a perfectly cut gemstone, shimmering with an inner light. It looked more valuable than anything he had ever seen. Marcus took it, turning it in his hand. "Where did this come from?" Jonas hesitated, then his eyes widened. "The medbay's disposal unit." They exchanged a look. There was only one explanation: Vela had produced it. And if that was true, she wasn't just an alien, she was a walking treasure. Marcus turned the gemstone over in his fingers, watching the light dance across its flawless surface. It wasn't just a gem, it was perfect, without any imperfections. Even the most advanced human technology couldn't produce something this pure. Jonas ran a scanner over it, shaking his head. "It's made of an unknown crystalline structure. Stronger than diamonds. This thing could be worth a fortune." Marcus frowned. "And you found it in the medbay's disposal unit?" Jonas nodded. "Yeah, right after Vela, well, you know." A long silence settled between them. They both realized what it meant. The alien girl produced this. Marcus glanced toward the medbay door. "We need to keep this quiet. No telling how valuable these things are, and if the wrong people find out." He didn't finish the sentence. Jonas swallowed hard. "What do we do?" Marcus pocketed the gemstone. "For now, nothing. We need to learn more." Vela's growing curiosity. The next morning, Marcus found Vela wandering the ship, her silver eyes wide with wonder. She ran her fingers over the walls, fascinated by the hum of the engines. When she noticed Marcus, she hesitated but didn't run. "Feeling better?" he asked. Vela tilted her head. "Better?" Marcus smiled. "Stronger. Not sick." She nodded slowly. "Yes." She was learning fast. That was good. Marcus reached into his pocket and held up the gemstone. "This. You made it?" Vela's expression shifted. For a moment, she looked afraid. Then she nodded again. Marcus crouched down, keeping his voice calm. "How?" Vela hesitated before tapping her stomach. "Inside. From food." Jonas, who had been listening from the doorway, let out a low whistle. "So she eats, and then this happens?" Vela looked between them, clearly unsure if she had done something wrong. Marcus sighed and shook his head. "It's okay, Vela. We're just surprised." She seemed to relax a little. Then she did something unexpected. She reached for Marcus's hand and placed it over her chest. He felt a faint warmth, like energy pulsing beneath her skin. "Not just jewels," she said. "More. More." Marcus exchanged a look with Jonas. If these gems were just the beginning, what else was she capable of? The debate. Later, the crew gathered in the control room. The gemstone sat in the center of the table, its glow casting strange reflections on their faces. Dale crossed his arms. "So what now? We can't ignore this. She could make us rich." Alina frowned. "She's not a machine, Dale. She's a person." Dale shrugged. "I'm just saying, if we sell even one of these gems, we could retire, live like kings." Jonas shook his head. "And what happens when people start asking where we got it? If the wrong people find out about her, they'll take her, maybe even experiment on her." Marcus leaned forward. "That's not happening." The room fell silent. Everyone knew Marcus wasn't the kind of man to hand someone over for money. Alina sighed. "So what do we do?" We can't keep her hidden forever. Marcus rubbed his temples. First, we figure out where she came from. Someone might be looking for her. Jonas checked the ship's scanners. There's no distress signal from her pod, no ID markers either. If she was running from something, she didn't want to be found. Marcus didn't like that. If she was hiding, who was she hiding from? A signal in the dark. That night, Marcus sat in the cockpit, staring out at the stars. His gut told him trouble was coming. Then the alarm blared. Jonas' voice came through the intercom. "Captain, we've got incoming." Marcus bolted to the control panel. "What is it?" Elena's fingers flew over the console. "A ship. Big one. And it's not human." Marcus's stomach sank. "They found us." On the screen, a massive alien warship loomed, its sleek black hull reflecting the distant glow of Jupiter. Symbols similar to those on Vela's escape pod glowed faintly along its sides. Then a message crackled through the speakers, harsh, guttural, and completely unreadable. The Lena tried to translate, but the system struggled. Only a few words came through, "Return subject now." Marcus turned to Jonas. "They mean Vela." Jonas nodded grimly. "And they don't sound friendly." Marcus clenched his jaw. He looked toward the hallway where Vela was sleeping. There was no way he was handing her over. He turned back to the controls. "Prepare to run. We're not giving her up." Outside, the alien ship's weapons powered up. The chase had begun. Alarms blared inside the Odyssey as Marcus gripped the edge of his chair. On the screen, the alien warship loomed like a predator, its sleek black hull reflecting the dim glow of Jupiter in the distance. The message had been clear: return the subject or face the consequences. Marcus turned to Elena. "How fast can we move?" Elena's fingers flew over the controls. "Engines are at full power, but that thing is built for speed. If they chase us, we won't last long in open space." Jonas checked the scanners. "They haven't fired yet. Maybe they just want to talk." Marcus frowned. "Or maybe they're waiting for us to surrender." A small voice spoke from behind them. "No surrender." Marcus turned to see Vela standing in the doorway, her silver eyes wide with fear. He stood up. "Vela, do you know who they are?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Hunters." The word sent a chill down Marcus's spine. "Hunters for what?" Vela placed a hand on her stomach. "For me." That was all Marcus needed to hear. He turned back to Elena. "Get us out of here. Now." The Lena didn't hesitate. She pushed the thrusters to maximum, and the Odyssey shot forward, heading for the asteroid belt beyond Jupiter. The alien warship followed. The chase through the asteroids. The Odyssey rocked as it entered the asteroid field, weaving between massive chunks of rock floating in the void. The alien warship followed, moving with terrifying precision. Dale gripped the control panel. "They're gaining on us." Marcus clenched his jaw. They needed to be smarter, not faster. "Elena, take us through the densest part of the field." "Jonas, fire the rear thrusters. Send debris flying behind us." Jonas hit the controls, and a burst of force sent smaller asteroids spinning into the alien ship's path. The warship dodged most of them, but a few chunks slammed against its hull, slowing it down. The Lena grinned. "That bought us time, but not much." A warning flashed on the screen: incoming energy surge. Jonas's eyes widened. "They're locking weapons on us." Marcus grabbed the intercom. "Everyone brace for impact." A bright beam of energy shot past the Odyssey, barely missing its engines. The force sent the ship into a wild spin. Elena fought the controls, struggling to keep them steady. Vela gasped, clutching her head. "No, no." Marcus moved to her side. Vela, what's wrong? She shut her eyes tightly. They will not stop. If they take me, they will use me for war. Marcus's stomach tightened. He had suspected she was valuable, but war. What was she hiding? Another blast shook the ship. Jonas cursed. Shields won't hold much longer. Marcus took a deep breath. There was only one way out. Elena, prepare for a blind jump. She snapped her head toward him. That's insane. If we jump without proper coordinates, we could end up in a black hole. Marcus met her gaze. If we stay here, we're dead anyway. Elena hesitated, then nodded. Charging the warp drive. Another blast rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. The alien warship was closing in, ready to deliver the final blow. Jonas shouted. Warp drive is online, but we need 10 more seconds. They didn't have 10 seconds. Vela suddenly stepped forward, her body trembling. Her silver eyes began to glow brighter, like a star ready to explode. She reached out and touched the ship's metal wall. A pulse of energy spread through the Odyssey. Every screen flickered. The warp drive, which needed 10 seconds, suddenly surged to full power. Jumas' jaw dropped. How did she? Marcus didn't wait for answers. Elena, jump. The Lena slammed the button. The stars stretched into lines. The ship shuddered, and then they were gone. The aftermath. Silence filled the ship as the crew tried to catch their breath. The Odyssey had escaped. The alien warship was nowhere in sight. Jonas checked the navigation. We're somewhere in deep space. No planets nearby. But we're alive. Marcus turned to Vela. She was pale, exhausted, her glowing eyes dimming. He knelt beside her. Vela, what did you do? She swayed slightly. Helped. Ship needed power. I gave. Marcus' mind raced. Had she just supercharged their warp drive? How was that even possible? Vela looked up at him, her voice barely a whisper. I did not want them to take me. Marcus nodded. They won't. Dale exhaled. So now what? Marcus looked out at the endless stars. Now they had bigger problems. The alien hunters would come for them again. And Vela, she was more than just a girl who made jewels. She was something much, much more. And everyone in the galaxy would want her. The Odyssey drifted through deep space, far from any known system. The crew was safe for now, but Marcus knew the alien warship wouldn't stop hunting them. Jonas sat at the control panel, checking the scanners. No sign of pursuit. Either we lost them, or they're waiting for us to make a mistake. Marcus turned to Vela, who was resting in the medbay. Her silver eyes were dim, and her body looked weak after whatever she had done to power the ship. He pulled up a chair beside her. Vela, you saved us back there, but I need to know how. Vela blinked slowly. I connected. Marcus frowned. Connected to what? She placed a hand on her chest. Energy inside me. I can share it, give power. Marcus exchanged a glance with Jonas, who was standing at the doorway. Jonas folded his arms. She charged our warp drive in seconds. That's impossible. Vela shook her head. Not impossible. My kind, we make energy. She hesitated. That is why they hunt us. Marcus leaned closer. The warship, those hunters, what do they want from you? Vela's voice was barely a whisper. To use us, to power their machines, their weapons, their ships. She shivered. They take my kind. They do not let go. Marcus clenched his fists. So she wasn't just rare, she was a living energy source. That's why those aliens wanted her. Jonas exhaled. No wonder they chased us so hard. If they have an army of people like her, they'd have unlimited power. Vela looked down. That is why I ran. I do not want to be a battery. Marcus felt something tighten in his chest. She wasn't just running, she was fighting for her freedom. He stood up. Then we're not letting them take you. Vela's silver eyes flickered with something, hope. But before anyone could say more, the ship's alarm blared. Jonas checked the radar. His face turned pale. We've got incoming. Marcus rushed to the cockpit. On the screen, 3 small alien ships had appeared. Alina cursed. Looks like they sent scouts. They must have tracked our jump. Dale slammed a fist on the table. We can't keep running forever. Marcus took a deep breath. They had to make a stand. Preparing for battle. Jonas checked the ship's weapons. We have a few plasma cannons, but we're outgunned. Marcus turned to Vela. Can you power the weapons like you did with the warp drive? She hesitated. Maybe. But it takes much from me. Marcus knelt beside her. I won't ask unless it's our only option. She nodded. I will try. The ship shook as the enemy opened fire. Elena spun the controls. Shields at 60% and dropping. Marcus grabbed the intercom. Dale, get to the engines. Jonas, keep our weapons online. The enemy ships closed in, firing rapidly. Marcus knew they wouldn't last long. Elena, take us into that nebula. She glanced at him. That's suicide. We can't see inside, and neither can they, Marcus smirked. Exactly. Into the storm. The Odyssey plunged into the swirling nebula, where electrical storms crackled through the dark clouds. The enemy ships hesitated at the edge. Jonas checked the radar. They don't want to follow us in. Marcus exhaled. Good. That gives us time. But then Vela gasped and clutched her head. Marcus rushed to her side. What's wrong? Her voice trembled. They are calling. They can sense me. Jonas's eyes widened. They're tracking her, not the ship. Marcus cursed. They had no way to escape if the enemy could follow her anywhere. Vela squeezed her eyes shut. Maybe I can hide. Marcus frowned. How? Vela took a shaky breath. I will stop my energy, make myself small. Jonas raised an eyebrow. You can do that? Vela nodded weakly. It is dangerous, but I will try. She closed her eyes, and her glowing silver skin dimmed. The ship's lights flickered. The engine sputtered for a moment, as if the whole ship had lost power. Then silence. Jonas checked the radar. His eyes widened. They lost us. Marcus stared at Vela. She had completely hidden her presence. Alina let out a breath. That's the best trick I've ever seen. Marcus squeezed Vela's shoulder. You did it. She managed a small smile before her body slumped. She was exhausted. Marcus picked her up gently. Let's get her to rest. Jonas checked the scanners again. The enemy ships are moving away. I think they think we're dead. Marcus exhaled. Good. But they'll keep looking. Elena nodded. And if they find us again, they'll bring a whole fleet. Marcus looked at Vela's sleeping form. They couldn't keep running. They needed a plan. They needed to fight back. The Odyssey drifted silently through the nebula, hidden from enemy scanners. The crew sat around the central table in the dimly lit control room. The tension was thick. Marcus looked at each of them. We can't keep running. They'll never stop hunting us. Jonas leaned forward. Then what do we do? Fight? We're outnumbered and outgunned. Dale crossed his arms. If we don't do something, they'll find us again, and next time we might not escape. Elena sighed. We need a plan. Marcus turned to Vela, who was sitting quietly at the end of the table. She still looked weak from using her energy to hide them. Vela, Marcus said gently. These hunters, do they have a home base somewhere we can strike? Vela hesitated. They have many ships, but one, it is where they take my kind, a place where they keep us. Jonas frowned. A prison? Vela nodded. Yes. A ship. A very big one. Marcus's mind raced. If we can find that ship, we can do more than just fight back. We can free others like you. Elena raised an eyebrow. You want to attack a prison ship? That's suicide. Marcus shook his head. Not if we do it right. We don't have the firepower for a direct fight, but we do have something they don't. Jonas's eyes widened. Vela. Marcus nodded. If she can shut down our ship's energy, maybe she can do the same to theirs. Everyone turned to Vela. She looked down. I do not know. Their machines are strong. Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to do it alone. We'll be right there with you. Vela took a deep breath, then nodded. I will try. Tracking the enemy. Jonas worked on the ship's scanners, trying to locate the prison ship. If Vela is right, they must be keeping it hidden. But a ship that big has to leave a trail. Dale leaned over the console. Maybe we can track their last movements. Where was that warship before it found us? Elena checked the logs. It was moving toward a dead zone, an area with no known planets. Marcus frowned. That could be where the prison ship is. Jonas adjusted the scanners. I got something. A faint energy signature. It's weak, but it could be a cloaked ship. Marcus smirked. That's our target. Dale whistled. You really want to do this, huh? Marcus's expression turned serious. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every one of Vela's people stuck on that ship. Elena nodded. Then let's do it. The approach. The Odyssey moved carefully through the dead zone, following the faint energy signature. Jonas stared at the radar. There it is. A massive ship came into view. It was unlike anything the crew had seen before, black, covered in alien symbols, and almost as large as a small moon. Dale exhaled. That's not a ship. That's a fortress. Marcus clenched his jaw. We don't have time to be scared. Jonas, any signs of weakness? Jonas scanned the ship. Most of their power is focused on shields and external defenses, but inside, there are energy conduits running through the whole structure. He looked at Vela. If you can disrupt those, even for a few minutes, we'll have a chance. Vela's hands trembled slightly, but she nodded. I will try. Marcus turned to the crew. We get in, we shut down their systems, we get the prisoners, and we get out. Elena tightened her grip on the controls. No turning back now. Marcus took a deep breath. Then let's move. The Odyssey surged forward toward the prison ship. Inside, alarms began to blare. The enemy had seen them. The battle had begun. The Odyssey shot toward the massive prison ship, its engines humming as the crew prepared for the most dangerous mission of their lives. Alarms blared inside the enemy vessel as red warning lights flashed along its dark hull. The hunters knew they were coming. Jonas checked the scanners. They're activating external defenses. Automated turrets, energy barriers, everything. Dale frowned. How do we get past all that? Marcus turned to Vela. Can you block their systems like before? Vela closed her eyes, focusing. Her silver skin flickered, but then she shook her head. Not from here. Too strong, too far. Marcus nodded. Then we do it the hard way. He turned to Alina. Take us in fast. Get as close as possible. Alina grinned. You got it. She pushed the thrusters to full power, and the Odyssey dived through the enemy fire, weaving between bright energy blasts. The ship rocked violently, but Alina kept control. Jonas shouted. There. A hangar bay on the lower side. Looks open. Marcus grabbed the intercom. Dale, get the boarding team ready. We're going in. The ship spun and shot toward the hangar. Then boom. A blast hit the Odyssey's rear. Sparks flew as the lights flickered. Jonas cursed. They hit our stabilizers. We're losing control. Marcus gritted his teeth. Hold it together. Almost there. Alina clenched the controls, forcing the ship forward. With a final burst of speed, the Odyssey crashed through the hangar shield, skidding to a stop inside the enemy ship. The moment they landed, Marcus jumped from his seat. Move now.